Okay, next up, I would like to rearrange this expression to solve for x and express x in terms of y. Okay, so I have x minus 1, x minus 1, x minus 1 is equal to y. I can simplify this a little bit further to give me x minus 1 cubed is equal to y. Now, if I want to solve for x, I can simply cube root both sides to get x minus 1 is equal to the cube root of y, and then I simply solve for x to give me x is equal to the cube root of y plus 1. And that's going to be it for this question. When you would typically see it is if you're told to find the inverse of a function. Now, this, to understand this, you need to know what functions are. And functions just create relationships between two things that seem separate but aren't. Like the time I wake up in the morning compared to the time I go to bed. Those things are related and are in different pools, and I can find an equation that represents how exactly they relate. For example, if x is the time I sleep, then y being the time I wake up, then I can state that y is equal to x plus 12. And this is if I always wake up 12 hours after I go to sleep, for example. And so that's just like a real world example of what functions do. So they linked two pools of data where I have x's and y's, and the function going forward is what I would call f of x. Now, what would happen if I wake up at a certain time and rather I'd like to find out what time I went to bed, if for whatever reason I don't know what time I went to bed? That means I have this y data, but I'd like to find x, which means I'd like to go in the reverse direction, and this is what we call the inverse of the function. So that means when I have y, how do I go about finding x? And just because of notation, I'm going to refer to this y that I now had because it's what I'm using, it's the variable that I am doing things with. I'm going to refer to it as x because x is typically the variable that I'm doing things with. And when it spits out, I'm going to refer to as y, which is why I'm saying here, I want x as a function of y. I want the time I wake up as a function of, I want the time I went to bed as a function of the time I wake up. And so it just enables you to do that, and graphically that just means I'm reflecting it in the line y is equal to x. So when I go about finding it, I can just switch the names of the two variables, or I can leave it like this, and then now at the end say that f minus 1x is equal to the cube root of x, what I'm putting in, the time I woke up, so y plus 1. And so let's just see what's happening graphically here in this case. Okay. So for the first function, that's my first function, is equal to y. But now instead, I'd like to have that the cube root, so x to the power of 1 over 3 plus 1. And if I quickly draw my line y is equal to x, I'll see that the blue line, so what I just found, is a reflection in the line y is equal to x. So it's the inverse of my initial function. And so it's how I'd go about finding y in this case, x in this case, if I have a certain value of y. And that's all that's going on with this question.